The new Coco attraction has begun, right here, right now. First signs of the initial demo that will be underway soon, plus new developments on Harbor Boulevard and new paint for the Eastern Gateway. It all begins today in this week's construction update. And what brought us to this discovery was taking a walk up Katella Avenue. There's some paint, actually. There's some paint right here on the concrete. This is new. We have not seen this before. That is fresh paint, but this is not. This is just a precursor, but that is not Coco-related paint. Actually, we're quite far from that site as we fade right. Or that's actually Radiator Springs Racers. But as we keep walking down this path, we'll start making discoveries and observations that are going to really blow our minds, at least mine anyway, about what's to come here at this corner. The beginning of the Coco attraction doesn't start technically behind Incredicoaster. It starts out here. There it is. There's the Incredicoaster right there. So we're actually behind it now. We're in that space. On the other side of those trees are going to be that backstage area, those portables that are going to be removed and where they're going to start building, or at least some of them anyway, start building the Coco attraction. But it doesn't start there. It starts out here on Katella and Disneyland Drive because they need to make room to build that attraction by clearing some of the space. And we got our first sign right there. Oh my God, we got it. Okay, those are flagged trees, 2 trees back there. For whatever reason, those 2 specifically have been flagged with those green ribbons.
Now that's just a couple of trees though, and that's certainly not anything to get too worked up about. Let's keep going around the corner.
Rounding that corner at Disneyland Drive in Katella, we're going to start looking for more of those trees. I'm curious. Well, we'll see. But I have an observation about this as we make our way down Disneyland Drive. And there we go. There's those trees way back there in the back. None of these trees here are marked, but there they are again. Those are the 2 green trees back there, or the green ribbon trees. More green, 2 more green there. Okay, so it's starting to pick up. We're seeing more trees marked green. Now, typically it is the green ribbons that suggest that they're going to keep those trees. These trees are supposed to be kept. We're looking for a red tree. There we go. We got one that's got a red ribbon on it. That tree is going to go. Interesting which ones they're choosing to keep and which ones are going.
And that is not all. There's lots more. Check this out.
We got markings on the ground, paint on the ground. These are orange. Orange is suggestive of telecommunications. Looks like they're flagging like where things might be, handholds perhaps, or some of the, if they have to, buried underneath that concrete are communication lines. And as we keep walking down the way, we see more green, which means these trees are staying, which is actually kind of confusing to me considering what the goal is of this project. And it's the ones deeper in the back that are going to be the red flagged ones. Now, one thing I'm noticing though is that most of the trees are not flagged. So if it's not flagged, I don't know what that means. So you're going to keep the green ones and you're going to demo the red ones. What are you doing with the ones that aren't flagged at all? There's a lot of trees back there.
So where we're looking at now is the backstage areas behind Incredicoaster, that corner. We're not far from the corner that is, in that direction over there. So you're looking at the 3 portables are about here. And then you can kind of see, if we find a gap through these leaves, the Pixar pal around is right in that direction there. So that puts, there's an Incredicoaster right there. So that puts in Emotional Whirlwind right about there. So this is all connected. This will connect with that space back there. It's happening.
Now here's some more markings on the ground. Red, orange, and yellow. Yellow is gas, orange is telecommunications. Red, well, that's not the right kind of red. That's a dark red. That dark red is just a note, I believe, by whomever was out there doing the evaluation of this. Now, if we keep going, you've got that circular path. This is just before you reach the intersection where the symbol lot meets the gate to DCA. This is where cast members park. They cross the street and go backstage. Lots and lots of red markings here, lots and lots of trees, etc., that are being flagged red. So it is my expectation that this section here is not going to survive at all. Even though we don't see any flags here, there's enough to suggest that without that tree was flagged, those stakes are not good. There's a red flag tree right there, that palm tree. All of this, I believe, is subject to removal. As a matter of fact, let's make some observations.
So let's make some assumptions, and this is all this is, just basic guessing. But I'm going to say that all of this obviously is going to get taken out, and they're going to bring where they have a fence now. Today, creating a division, the separation between backstage and, well, not on stage, but public access. They're going to bring that fence probably out here, all the way to Disneyland Drive, and then the service road, which isn't necessary, will be installed here. It'll just push it out to, I don't know, maybe like to this point here where these trees are, right? So maybe that's your new backstage service road from here to there. And then I'm thinking all of this becomes improvable space, improvable land for theme park construction, Coco or what have you. And what's even more interesting is our relationship here. So Coco, we'll find the gate here in a minute. But this is about where they would build the Coco path to the attraction that's behind Incredicoaster. We are right next to the entrance to downtown Disney, the entrance to the Simba parking lot. This is the access hereabouts. I'm guessing that guests are going to go for Disneyland Forward. That when they leave DCA, this is the way into Disneyland Forward, into the Simba lot.
Before we continue, let me remind everybody of our preferred travel affiliate, GetAwayToday. If you're looking to plan a visit to Disneyland or Disney World or a cruise or whatever, you want to plan a trip and you need some expert guidance, you need some friendly, helpful people to help you with that decision-making process, contact GetAwayToday. There's a link in the description. We love them. They are awesome. They take good care of us. They plan all of our trips, and they can help you with yours. Use the link in the description. Let them know we sent you, and have a great trip. Actually, I want to correct myself there because at first I was imagining that everything being pushed out all the way to the street, but clearly that's not Disney's intention in retrospect because they've got those trees back at the beginning of our little survey through this area that are marked green. So those are staying. So if those trees are staying, then you can't be putting a road there, right? So I don't believe that this is going to be a 100% degrading of this zone, from the current backstage fence to Disneyland Drive. Just a chunk of it will be this back chunk here, perhaps. But on the other end, I don't think they're going to be bringing it all the way. I don't think they're going to bring that service road all the way out to the edge of Disneyland Drive simply because those trees are being flagged to be kept. If you're keeping those trees, then you're not going to be putting any surface down there, any street. Let's get out to where the gate is. This is where there's some more markings on the ground there. Interesting. Oh, look at that. There we go. This is at the actual intersection where you turn left into downtown Disney parking. That's not text. That's a symbol of some kind, a box and a bunch of dots. My understanding is that is a literal what do they call that? Handhole that's been buried down there for communication. So they're marking it. So my guess is whenever they begin work here, they're going to cut that area up and get into there to the communications that are buried underneath that surface. And it looks like we've got some red markings also leading into that gate. So this is where things get interesting in terms of what's Coco and what's Disneyland Forward. They got some red markings there, some paint on the ground. It looks like it was for electrical. Into that's the service road that goes behind Inside Out, Emotional Whirlwind, and Incredicoaster and all that. That's the road we've been watching from the Pixar Pal Around. That's across the street. Now we're on this side. That's the downtown Disney parking lot, but the future site of Disneyland Forward. Notice no markings here. Notice no trees are flagged, nothing on the concrete, nothing, indicating that any kind of survey work has been done because this will be untouched for quite a while. This is not going to be included in the Coco or, they're not working on Disneyland Forward yet, at least in this space. No markings here at all. Everything that we're seeing is on the other side of the street where we just were. And then one last thing I want to note here before we get into the park. Some folks have been asking about whether or not they could put stuff backstage This is what we're looking at is Backstage Paradise or Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. That's Boardwalk Pizza and Pasta. You see that little peak right there behind those trees. That's Boardwalk. I don't know if you could tell through the lens, but I can tell you not a lot of space back there. Very little space for them to do anything other than keep stuff, store stuff. I don't even think you could keep parade floats back there. I don't even think there's enough room for that. They've already got to keep other stuff that's there. They can't just get rid of everything that's back there, if you follow. So I don't think this is any kind of future for any kind of thing. Let's get to the Pixar Pal around and reverse our view. So that's the future site of Coco, right? We've been watching them, waiting for them to start, clearing that space. And again, this week nothing's happened. Matter of fact, that one crate is still there, still wrapped. Those trees back there, the green and the orange trees, that's where we just were. Many of those trees are going to be demoed, taken down. That's where they're going to be pushing out the boundary a little bit, not a lot. And then as we pan right, that larger section of trees there, that's where that area where the big chunk is going to be, because you can see where that intersection is, where the vehicles turn left into the downtown Disney parking lot, Simba. Those trees right there is where that section of the big chunk of trees, where I feel like they're going to be removing a lot of that. So that's crucial in terms of its relationship where guests are going to be entering from that gate. This is Google Earth. That's the gate right there. That's the gate, the Pixar Pals gate, or the Pixar Ball gate. That's where guests are going to be entering that space behind the Incredicoaster and behind Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind. Change our heading. Let's go back around. Okay. Right there in the center of your screen, that's the gate again. Right here. There's the gate. There's this service road that we've been watching, that one there. That's where we just were standing not long ago, right here at the gate, looking at the paint. All of this, well, most of it anyway, I expect to be removed. Let's see if we can pan out. I can't tell what they're going to do here. These trees right here are the ones that were flagged green, and we saw a few actually in that space as well. The red ones were back here. So they're probably, I don't know what the goal is in terms of maybe pushing this road, straightening it out a little bit and running it around here and giving you this width right there is the space that they're trying to create. The goal of which I would assume is to reposition these two, perhaps move these back, keep them, but move them back a little bit so you can create more space here. So the gate guests are going to come in through here, and this is where I imagine the Marigold Bridge would be, if there is such a thing. I believe there will be. I believe that's the transition from this space into the Coco land is a Marigold Bridge, and I think that's where they're going to be building this, and then the attraction is here. It's going to be a dead end, so when you're done here, you're going to have to go back over the Marigold Bridge and go back out. The reason why I was curious about the relationship is because at the same time that they're doing that, we saw markings down here. This is that gate that we saw on the street at Disneyland Drive. There was markings down here as well. They might at the same time maybe start doing some infrastructure work to prepare for building another bridge to connect this space with this space. This is going to be, zoom out, this is Disneyland Forward right here. Get those guests from here to there. And again, these are all just speculation, guessing, just trying to see if I can't read any tea leaves. I don't know anything, so just keep that in mind, because I know people want to come at me for that sometimes, that I don't know what I'm talking about, which is fine, I don't. Let's look at Avengers Infinity Defense. It looks like they've got even more progress happening with the truss system. It looks like there's actually, I think there might even be more still to install, but that has been growing incredibly. Look, there's some new steel right there. 3 new pillars have been installed for that system. We'll take a look real quick over at the Cozy Cones where they're building that restroom, plus something else, I'm sure. I just cannot believe this is nothing but a restroom because it's taking forever for them to do this. But I don't see any action there, nothing observable as of yet. It's been kind of stalled as far as that goes. We'll get back to Avengers Infinity Defense. Yeah, there you can see more of that system on the ground still. So they've got more to build. Looks like they've put in a little more steel on that outer perimeter there. They've put in more steel there as well. And it looks like, are they using that crane to help install that system? I wonder. Okay, let's get back to the view of Coco. As we mentioned, just trying to give you, sort of a sense of what we're looking at when we start looking in the future at the trees and that space back there. As we rise above Incredicoaster, again, those trees that you're seeing back there, many of those are going to be removed. Most notably, probably the greener ones as opposed to the oranger ones. I feel like those are the ones that are on the street and the most likely going to stay. And we're going to watch. We're going to be able to watch. It's going to happen soon. My estimation is that maybe a couple months. When they start putting paint on the ground, we start seeing action a couple months later. And I'll show you what I'm talking about a little bit later when we get back onto Harbor Boulevard. There's a new development on Harbor Boulevard with respect to the transformer work. I think it was that area there where Harbor meets Disney Way. Let's go to Cars Land next, where I want to check in on Avengers Campus from the ground. But look at this crowd. They showed up. This is on a Friday. Thursday was madness. I'm glad I didn't go. Thursday was madness. Friday was pretty bad too, but not as bad as Thursday. Take a quick walk through. I haven't seen. Look at the queue for for churros, man. Okay, and then it's pretty busy in here. I'm happy. I'm glad to see people excited about going to Disneyland. It was the food I noticed. It was the food queues that looked to be the busiest. But we'll check in on that. There's that restroom site. This is the site that is going to be transitioning from Cars Land to Avengers Campus, and they're putting in a restroom on the other side of that wall. That project has been stalled for quite a while. We haven't seen any real action there. Oh my gosh, we're leaving. Luigi's, the queue is out the door. That's a queue out the door. My gosh. Radiator Springs Racers, that's got to be, just 90 minutes. Kind of shocking, actually. There again is Route 66. I hope you guys had a wonderful day on this day. I really do. Okay, we're back at Avengers Campus, and there's nothing. I think crews had the day off. This is Black Friday, basically, or it is Black Friday, so a lot of people have that Friday off. So I don't imagine seeing a lot of crew here. But yeah, there's still that truss system is still growing. We'll get back up a little higher. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, so we can see the truss system on the ground there. There is more. They're not done installing that yet. It's getting bigger and bigger. I just can't believe how impressive this scope and scale is of this building. That's new. That little, I don't know what those holes are for. Somebody could tell me, because I tried to figure it out looking at the concept art, but I couldn't really identify. It's in that space there next to the A. That's about where that was, but I don't know. It's probably going to get hidden in future work. We can see, we did stop, I should say, at the Harbor Boulevard view of Avengers Infinity Defense, but not a lot to observe here. This view is becoming less and less useful, unfortunately. We're especially on days when you can't really see anybody working on it. But the only thing that's happening here is that the building is closing in. We'll get back into the park. Actually, before we get to Harbor Boulevard, check out these. Man, this was 10:20 in the morning. By the way, that churro line we saw was like 9:30. That was 9:30, 10 o'clock in the morning. This is 10:20 in the morning. All right, let's get to Harbor. We've been watching we've been seeing these signs. They're telling us they're going to be road work here at the corner of Harbor and Disney Way, and it's going to last about 9 months. And we've been watching this intersection here, this space, to see how it works. I believe it's going to be affecting for Disneyland Forward and for the expansion of Avatar. Actually, more Avatar than Forward. And then we're watching to see if that parking lot over there gets closed. We've been watching paint on the ground here. This is old paint. This paint has been here for a while now. Nothing new to report. But we got this clip from our Fresh Baked Street team. Guys, follow us on our freshbakedpresents.com app. There's a link in the description. It's an app where fans of the show can share with us and interact with us, interact with me about things that they've spotted that I didn't necessarily catch. I can't be there all day. Thank goodness for Cryogen97 for providing this clip. This is that intersection. This is being shot actually from the other side of the street. Looking back, that's Tower of Terror or Mission Breakout right there. That's exactly where we saw some of that paint on the ground, is right where they're digging. We spotted that paint initially just a couple months ago. So that's about when I talk about the timeline for those trees and the paint that we saw on the ground over there on Disneyland Drive. That's what we're talking about. It's just a few months away from seeing action. So this action is happening on Harbor Boulevard. This is they're trying to provide more power more electrical power to the park. The park has insufficient power to take on the addition of Avatar and the addition of whatever they're going to build at Disneyland Forward, but initially just for Avatar. So thank you for the Fresh Baked Street team for that. I took myself, well, I should say first, we got another update, another post from the Fresh Baked Street team. This one is from David SCHPT. I don't want to pretend to know what that means, but he found some more paint on the grass. And there's no context on this photo, but I do know where he's at. He's on Harbor Boulevard where they tore down that hotel. Let's get on the road. Right next to the Tropicana is this stretch of grass. There used to be a hotel here. Disney demoed this years ago, and with the intention of building the Eastern Gateway. This is where they're going to build the bridge that connects the Eastern Gateway, the parking structure, to Disneyland. But we've got some, this is just basic green paint, which, if my understanding is correct, that's sewer or drain. So that's probably a sewer line, perhaps. But whatever the case may be, they're trying to identify that in this space. Well, that is a drain, I would assume. So maybe that's correct. They're trying to identify something for some purpose, right? Action is going to be happening here pretty soon. And there is that, you can see, there's more paint. You got white, blue, red, yellow, everything is right there in that little section. Yellow is gas, red is electric, white is new construction. Interesting. Okay. I'm looking at my grid as I read this. So through that gate, eventually will be a bridge, and that bridge will turn around and it'll pass over the monorail. It'll go over Harbor Boulevard, over the monorail, and into the transportation hub. How they do that, I'm not sure. How they get, how that's going to look, a bridge over Harbor Boulevard and over the monorail, that is such an incredible undertaking. And then it'll land here in the transportation hub. And it'll run, that bridge will run sort of parallel to that backstage area in the far, that giant wall right there where the bus is. It'll run parallel to that. And then here is where that's going to be, where the big Disneyland Resort sign, that's going to be beautiful, by the way. I can't wait. I can't wait to see look how big that looks. That's about that Disneyland sign, and where those guests sort of come together, the bridge and the guests on Harbor Boulevard all come together before entering the park. They're all going to come together in about this space that we're looking at right now. So just to kind of cover things, this left side, that's going to be Eastern Gateway, bridge, and guests walking into the park. And then this half of things, that's Avatar. So it's not the entire space that's going to Avatar, just this half, approximately. And then the other half is for the Eastern Gateway, etc. Fascinating. I'm so excited about this process. I just hope it starts soon. We're going to try to get into the park where, again, huge crowds at the Esplanade. Big crowd here on Main Street, Disneyland. It's a busy day. Let's go check on a few. Oh my gosh, look at that queue. They're back. That Indiana Jones queue is back into the old Fast Pass station. My goodness. Okay, we're nearing the end. This is one of the interesting things that are happening. I do have an update on this. There's out of nowhere, they put scrim and scaffold around. Well, it was just scaffold last week. This week we got scrim around the water tower. It is a repair job, not a refurb, not paint and polish, but this is a repair job. So they're not repainting anything or anything of that nature. They need to fix the actual function, because that tower works. They do pour water here, but they're fixing it, and that should be done probably in the next couple of weeks, is my guess. Which means it has nothing to do with that building that fell or they tore down. No connection to that. They are not related. While I was there, I turned around to take a quick look across the island. And as I mentioned last week, yes, Pirate's Lair, Dead Man's Grotto, is back open again. So that was just a temporary thing. Casey Jr., we're here and excited because look, one train in the station, one train on the track. We got 2 trains. That's the most exciting thing. That's the best thing ever. That makes Casey Jr. an automatic go every time, anytime you want to go. If it's 2 trains, get on. That queue would be down here. If there was one train, that queue would be down there mixing in with Dumbo. Let's go to downtown Disney, where I heard some whooping and hollering. Action is happening at Earl of Sandwich. I couldn't see anything, but I could hear it. So we're back. Well, I don't know if we're on track necessarily, but we're back in action at Earl of Sandwich. Meanwhile, across the way at what's the future site of Lululemon, the ESPN Zone building, We've got glass. They have installed glass along the left side of those display windows. So that's a good sign. That must mean they're getting close to being done on the interior. I would imagine you wouldn't want to be installing glass until you're mostly done with the constructioning of things. They painted last week. That was red brick. They painted that section above those glass windows. That was red brick last week. This week it is white. So there you go. By the way to go, Parkside Market Cafe. We got here a little earlier in the morning. Perhaps we got a little crowd here. 1, 2, 5, 6 guests there. Another 8 or 10 guests waiting for their coffees. That's great. All right, let's go Parkside Market Cafe. Go get them. Looks like they're maybe making some progress finally at the Lego store. They're going to install a new Lego feature there. But I don't know what's happening on the other side. It still looks about the same. And they're still digging up that concrete there on the ground. We got some progress here at Sunglass Hut. Their remodel is nearing completion. The walls are down a little bit, and you can see inside the lights and everything. Looks great. Looks great. Remember? Okay, if you know, you know. And then we'll just close, I think, with Earl's Sandwich. I think, is that it? Or Earl's, yeah. Nothing to report on here. The tables are still down there. They haven't moved those tables yet. And obviously we can't see anything. They've blacked out the windows, so we can't see if they're doing any kind of refurb or demo inside, which I'm sure they are. The tables and chairs are gone here. I don't expect any action to happen here anytime soon. One thing I am waiting for, somebody mentioned it in the comments, and I thought it was a fairly good observation. They still have the stanchions up. These ticket booths are going to be destroyed to make room for portas, but the stanchions are still up, which suggests they're not very close. These, I believe these are staying. They're not going to be destroyed, but those are staying, and those stanchions are still up. So that's the latest from downtown Disney. We got a few more odds and ends to catch up on here inside DC. And by the way, again, look at that crowd. This is early in the morning, guys. This is like, what was this, 9:30, I think? Incredicoaster, when I was there, is closed. It was down, but this was a breakdown. This is not, but there is going to be a refurb, I should say. We've got some new refurbs being added to the calendar. Incredicoaster is going to be closing on January 5th. With no known date as of yet, although I don't expect this to be a big deal because it just came from a refurb. Obviously, people are going to say, well, why are they closing it again? This is just annual maintenance. What they were doing before was something else independent of that, but all these attractions generally go through a certain maintenance period. So you look for the Incredicoaster, you'll know that because it's in January, right? January is typically, well, it used to be the refurb season. It seems like all year is now. Incredicoaster is going to be closing on January 5th, as is Grizzly River Run, also closing on January 5th, standard. This is an off-season refurb period. They're going to just go through and clean everything up, make sure everything's working the way it should. Hopefully, maybe they'll do some more upkeep on the geysers. I would expect that to be closed for a week or two, perhaps. And then Inside Out Emotional Whirlwind. Now that one's kind of curious because it just had a refurb. It just had one. And I know I said the opposite about Incredicoaster, but Inside Emotional Whirlwind is not a labor-intensive attraction. It doesn't require a lot of maintenance, so it doesn't have the same sort of refurb requirements schedule that some of the other attractions might. This thing can run without refurb for a while. All it'll do is you got to raise them up, bring them down, spin them around, right? So the fact that it's having this closure right after it just recently had one is suggestive of something unplanned, is I guess what I'm saying. I feel like this is unplanned. I don't think it's related, though, to the Coco construction. And is that it? Did I get all the way there? Yes, we did. Oh, no, one more. Mr. Potato Head, he's back. Yeah, by the way, he looks good. He looks fresh. It looks, like he's working pretty well. So welcome back, Mr. Potato Head. And thank you, Fresh Baked, for watching. We love you guys. Be safe out there. Be kind to one another. And Fresh Baked.